Okay, I'm proving wrong again with this season. Still, though, I gotta admit, that was actually a pretty nice finale. It had some intense moments, it has some unique moments, and it actually had a final tribal that actually wasn't that bad, despite the fact that it was kind of rushed due to the length. Although, the additional bits that they put into this episode, I do feel like there was more of a purpose to it. Well, obviously, there kind of was, yeah, but it still was kind of unnecessary because while this eliminated jury member twist is interesting, at the same time, I'm not like the hugest fan of it, even though it actually didn't really matter in this situation, which is one reason I probably don't have a firm reaction because it actually didn't matter. But I guess I'm just somebody who wants it to be, have everyone who is supposed to matter in this game that was actually in the game, be the one that like makes the final decisions because like when Survivor UK 2 and Big Brother Canada 2 had like the seventh jury member be because of the public. I didn't really like that, even though in both cases it didn't matter. And then as for Big Brother 11, where they actually did something like this again, that vote actually didn't matter. So even though I don't totally like it, I can't complain about it too much. It'll be interesting to see if they keep doing this because now it looks like they're going to try and throw in little twists to like every season. And I don't know how I kind of feel about this because after seeing Big Brother Canada and knowing how those twists affect the season, even though I do not think Survivor is going to make as big a blunder as Big Brother Canada, yeah, I don't know. I'll figure that out, right. So, other things to mention about this finale, I'll give Michelle props. She was able to pull out that immunity victory that I didn't think she'd be able to do, and actually create a better moment for the season. And then at the final tribal, she did actually do, I think, a good job for her situation, and managed to convince some people to go her way because, like Debbie, she actually voted for Michelle and not Aubrey. Nick was the second vote for Aubrey, so that says something. It wasn't just like an absolute block, unlike with Julia and the Joe situation. And then Sydney voted for her for whatever reason. I didn't listen to her interviews, but in my mind, I felt like Sydney could go either way, justifiably so. So I'm not going to complain about her vote. There, yeah, but I will give her some good props. She dealt with all the cards that she had, and it ended up working out in her favor. Because, like, I don't actually feel like Michelle, coattailed her way through. I just felt like, honestly, her edit is what really sucked in this situation. Because all the bits where she ended up getting put on the bottom, supposedly, I didn't really feel like that was Michelle's personality that much. I thought it was more of the other people's, minds working and them just not really being able to include that in the edit, or them making that decision would have spoiled the tense tribal council, even though at the same time that would have made people's decision makings a lot more clearer, which I think I would have liked because it was definitely harder for me to follow everyone's decision trends for these blind sides after blind side, unlike San Juan del Sur, where I was actually able to follow everyone pretty well, minus the Reed blind side. Yeah, they should have done that one a little more clear. Well, yeah. Okay. So, I'm gonna be honest, I actually don't really have that much of a huge gripe against Michelle, because I felt like she brought stuff to the table. It was her edit that was the problem, because, like, if you go back to my afterthought for, the first episode this season, I stated that, in hindsight, I think I'm gonna have to actually watch out for these beauty girls and Aubrey, because I don't remember where they stood, and after this episode, I think that they might have something to put out there, and boom, I was right. Hmm? Right, yeah. What else to talk about? Oh yeah, let's bring up Ty's decision to actually save Aubrey. Well, given some of the things that were going through his mind, I think he actually thought of the idea of this season being the final two before he voiced that concern to Aubrey and Michelle. So that might have factored into his reason, and he figured that if it was those two and him in a final three immunity, he'd probably be guaranteed. And yeah, that is what would have happened. So smart decision on his mind, and I think he also realized that it didn't necessarily matter who he was against, he'd be in the same situation no matter what. Because I was right, he didn't get a single jury vote, but that was pretty obvious heading into that tribal, so, got no complaints with him doing that there. And before I get into the actual jury decision from the other perspective, them awarding to Michelle over Aubrey, let's throw out the two hypotheticals. Say Michelle doesn't win that immunity, what happens? She would have gone. I feel like that would have been pretty obvious. So Aubrey versus Sydney, who wins? Let's just assume that there isn't a jury member voted out, just to keep it easier. I think Aubrey, but I'm not entirely sure in that prediction. The main thing I'm assuming is that Scott and Jason would have gone against Sydney there. That's the main assumption. Right. And then had Aubrey lost to Sydney, who would have won? I'm thinking Sydney, because both Aubrey and Michelle indicated that they would have voted for her, so I don't see any reason why she really wouldn't have won, to be honest. I don't know, though. I'd like to hear, Nick's thoughts on this issue. I don't know. Okay, so now that those hypotheticals are out of the way, the final decision of awarding the $1 million to Michelle over Aubrey, well, everybody seems to feel like it's a better jury syndrome, but at the same time, a lot of people seem to argue that it came down to Jason and Scott, and they just decided to vote for the person who they felt like screwed them over the least, but I don't know, what was it that Aubrey did in particular that really got to them that bad, to be honest, because I feel like, honestly, you could argue that they stuck it to everyone in a certain way, and then they got it stuck to them right back, so, yeah. I don't know if that entirely argument holds true, we need to be angry at Jason and Scott, but it does seem to be easier to limit it down, because everybody was predicting that Joe and Neil would go for Aubrey, that Julia seemed to be a guarantee, and then there seems to be a little bit of an air that Sydney was more likely to go for Michelle. I don't know, like I said, I haven't listened to her interviews, but truth be told, I don't really feel like it, because as I stated, she could have gone either way, in my opinion. Right. But, yeah, I am disappointed, because I do feel like the Ron person ended up winning for the first time in a long while, because, believe it or not, the last time somebody won that I didn't feel like was the right person to win was, depending on your point of view, either Nicaragua or South Pacific. So I haven't had the person I didn't this is a tongue twister. What I'm trying to say is that it's been either 4.5 years or 5.5 years since the person that I wanted to see win in a Survivor season didn't win. The reason that I put these two instances up is because in Nicaragua, the person that I flat out did not want to see win won, whereas in a South Pacific, I had actually the final three picked out from the start of the merge as my top picks to win, but I wanted Coach to win over Sophie. So in that season, while a top pick won, it was my second choice, beating my first. So I have to put both situations up there. So when you think about it, if I've gone 4.5 years without the person that I want to see win not winning, in a way I think I'm overdue for it, because like actually from Samuel de Sur on, I'm like, you know what, this streak is going to have to end eventually. People have been arguing that since Boston Rob, we've had strong winner after strong winner. Eventually, this streak is going to have to stop, even though a lot of people argue against Sophie, Cochran, and Mike. I mainly argue against Mike because I don't remember Sophie that well. Cochran, I remember him pretty well, but it's more of the fact that people started disliking him in those last couple of episodes. I don't really want to go back to that. You know how I felt after that season, and I was begging for the show to end, but now I don't feel like it needs to end. But I get the feeling that it's running out of gas, and that it probably should end around season 40, even if it's still doing well, just because all good things must come to an end, you know. Various reality shows such as Next Top Model and Idol have stopped, Mythbusters has stopped, you know, so it's getting to the point where it all must end, you know. I think we're getting close to that point. Yeah. But here's the thing, though. Even if Aubrey had won, I would actually still be arguing that the trend of strong winners might be disrupted, because I would be struggling to decide if she or Sophie would be a better winner in that situation. I know I'm pissing a lot of people out there, but that's how I felt, okay? Yeah, because I wouldn't have called Aubrey a strong winner. I just felt like that she played a good game, and that's really it. I kind of had the same issues with Natalie, but trends were a little different there. So, yeah. So, ultimate thoughts on this season? For the non-hype that it was getting, I feel like actually this was a nice season. Like with South Pacific, really the main issue I have with it is the end, and that's pretty much it. This season delivered good blind sides. It was nice entertainment. I'm definitely glad that I ended up binge-watching it, because I felt like had I gotten it, you know, bit by bit by bit, I wouldn't be that interested, but here I felt like I got a nice story all the way through. Sure, it wasn't the outcome that I wanted, but I'm defending that situation as not being as bad as other situations. And unlike other times where I feel like the wrong person has won, or just, well, I wasn't as happy with the final result, like HVV, All Stars, Australia, South Pacific, and I thought I had one more. Marquesas, I think, yeah. I am not too bothered by this one, although it's just for entirely different reasons. Because, well, my afterthoughts from all the other times where someone didn't really want to win in Survivor differ, so that's the best I can say about that, because I think this is going on a little bit long as it is, yeah. And then as to where this season ranks, you know, I'm thinking about actually altering a couple of the Survivor rankings, and while I think I could give it a ranking right now, I don't think I will, and instead I'm just going to post in the comments below where I rank it, because I feel like by the time I've decided to upload this, I will have a definitive opinion on where it ranks, okay? But I'm leaning towards putting it kind of in the middle of the pack, okay? I'm going to tell you that much, but it's not just where I rank this. I'm contemplating changing a couple of the other seasons based on my thoughts on them, okay? And then as for the twist for next season, I gotta be honest, well, I think it is kind of clever. One, they've kind of already done this, because this is just a rehash of Nicaragua, you know, young versus old, and two, after the tribes switch, I don't think that this is really going to matter, to be honest. I think they're making more of a big deal about this than it needs to be. Okay? Just get out there and play the game, okay? This is one time where the labels just I feel like are kind of useless, you know, unlike blue versus white versus no color. I felt like that actually had a purpose, even though once the switches happened, they just ignored their labels and they just focused on loyalty, yeah. So, there you go. Hope you enjoyed hearing from me, even though I took basically the entire season to upload my thoughts on it, huh? See ya.